Hey, my sugar bears, welcome back to my channel, Bougie AF. It's your host, J Nicole. It's where I say stay bougie on them. It's me feeding you feminism for the soul. It's my soul food offering. It's where I apply pressure to issues by being critical and logical. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's get to the commentary where I can guarantee you I will be doing too much because that's just me. And like Sheree said, who's gonna check me, boo?
J Nicole, and you are tuned into the Bougie AF channel where I say stay bougie on them, and I'm serving you feminism for the soul. Don't forget to check me out on them people's Instagram at OG_Bougie AF. Also on Twitter at I'm_Bougie_AF. You can also catch me on them people's TikTok at She Bougie AF. So separate the AF on that one. So listen. We are going to talk about some ADOS in the movement, and of course, I told you guys, as we move into 2024, you are going to see I'm going to do more content around the messaging around ADOS, just politics in general, voting, social issues, and stuff like that. I'm also, as you can see, doing the variety show where I put together some funny clips and just giving some off the cuff opinions about social issues, celebrity gossip, and stuff like that. I'm gonna do it all. I'm a one woman show here, and I'm gonna do it all. So make sure you check those out as I put those together. So I have so many that I've done already, so I'm going to be taking my time over the next few days, just putting together and just getting it out. But in this video, I ran across some on my Twitter feed. Okay, so I follow a whole bunch of ADOS people. I'll be 100% with saying I'm not a part of the organization. I am ADOS by lineage, right? I also will say I resonate with the message of reparations over everything in terms of Black Americans and going into 2024 election and so on. As long as it takes, I'm down for it, right? With that being said, there's always, there are going to be people who don't agree with the messaging in terms of a lot of people want to find alternative people to vote for and have alternative views in terms of in terms of strategy about going about, how to go about what we want in terms of reparations, right? And on top of reparations, there also, if you go to, ADOS Advocacy Foundation, .org, you'll see that it's more than just about a paper check. It's more than about the check, right? There's other things that are included in that we are asking for in terms of education, in terms of tax. There are people who wants to negotiate and talking about land that was stolen, right? Those type of things. So, so it's more than just a check, right? So I think it's really important that people get educated and find out about that. I am not somebody who believes in I am most definitely going to be that person when you tune and listen to. I'm going to most definitely tell you, go do the work, right? I think in society today, we have a situation, especially with younger folks, where they think everyone should be doing the work for them, the research and figuring things out. And I don't think that's always helpful. I don't think that necessarily fosters good, work mentalities or whatever ethics in people. So yeah, I may mention some things, but I still think it's still your job to go and look it up. I still think it's you have to put the work in to, get to the understanding. I don't want you just to have my understanding. I want you to get to your understanding off of what I'm saying, right? And that requires you, doing your own research, looking into things and reading and stuff like that. And yeah, it requires that. Even sometimes, like when I'm sitting and listening to a Clubhouse, and I've said this before, and I'll say this. Now I remember there's some younger people that I ran into Clubhouse and with butt heads, and I felt like they can be extremely disrespectful. Even if it's talking about in conversation, just, what, now that I think of it, there was a story, I think it was yesterday or the day before that, I was in a room and there was this older woman and she was in her 60s, and there was this younger woman, and they were having a conversation, and the tone and the way that this younger woman was speaking to this older woman, it's something that I can't get with, right? I'm not old. Right. With that being said, I most definitely remember my 20s, right? In terms of this woman being 60, I'm not near her age at all. With that being said, I don't remember, in my 20s speaking to adults in a way where I said, well, maybe it's because of your age, and you know what I mean? And I'm doing all of that disrespectful as a talk. So I can't get with it when I hear it, right? With that being said, I think sometimes what ends up happening, and I see it a lot on Clubhouse, there are some people who want to coddle certain individuals in their early 20s, in terms of their behavior, and they have that expectation that everybody, that this person or this young adult, right? Because they're not children. We got to be extremely clear. I can't stand that people want to act like people in their 20s are still kids when there's real life consequences, there's real life things, and that they can do to affect people's lives. And, that's just way different than a child, right? Like, even children are dangerous, to be completely honest. Let's keep it 100, okay? But with that being said, I always thought my biggest lessons in life came from those who did not let me get away with my bad behavior. Right? And of course, there were other people who did let me get away with my bad behavior, right? But what I did understand, that there was consequences, and that wasn't going to be something that everyone was going to allow me to do, right? In terms of how I talk to them, how I handle them, and you know what I mean? Like, that's not, everybody doesn't have to put up with that, and everybody's not going to put up with that, right? And it's a luxury, it's a benefit for people to deal with you when you are behaving a certain way, right? Like, there's this girl on Clubhouse, and I call her a little young dummy, and I'm sticking to the fact that I'm going to continue to call her a little young dummy, because you don't pick with people, and then when you get what you're looking for, you want to try to play the victim. You want to try to make it seem like you have a stalker, right? And I think that is so prevalent to these kids, to these younger adults. I'm not going to say kids, these younger adults, that they will start with people, and then all of a sudden they're the victim, right? I think, even if I have to think of a celebrity who does this, like Cardi B, right? Cardi B is somebody who talks hella shit. She's somebody who throws subs. She's somebody who talks her shit. And then when she gets it back, it's, oh, I'm a mother, oh, I'm trying, oh, it becomes, you're being so hard, and I'm just a girl from the Bronx who just doing whatever she has to do to survive. And that's cool, that's your story, but that ain't got shit to do with you getting the repercussions of your behavior, or somebody telling you about yourself. Like what does one have to do with the other, right? Like, it's not the forever past in life, in terms of like what your struggle has been, in terms of being the reason why you think people should let you get away with it, right? That's just not a thing. So when I'm talking about this girl on Clubhouse, like, she picked an argument because she was wrong in something that we were talking about, in terms, I think it was like policy and reparations and stuff like that. And she was just wrong. I've never actually on a one-on-one basis spoken to this girl in like real fucking life. Like, even not even the metaverse have I exchanged and had like a real conversation with this person. I sure as hell ain't told her none of my business or shared my life with her and all this other stuff. But because she was wrong in what we were talking about, that led her trying to tell me about myself, like on some personal, like she knew my tea type of situation, as if though she had been gossiping and got the word, or felt like she knew something about me that she could use against me, right? Now, all of a sudden, once I get in that ass, oh, you're being too mean, you're doing too much, she's young, and da-da-da-da-da. Don't pick with bullies. Don't pick with a real bitch. I ain't asking or checking for your age on your PTR. You don't get to do that. But then that lets me know that and this is how you understand people's intentions. Intentions is like, you came into a conversation with me with intentions of falling out. And there are people like that. They'll hear about you, and they'll go about trying to get your attention so they can have their own exchange, so they can have their own something to talk about, right? It's really, really sick in this world that people will go out their way to do that. If you felt like you heard something about me, and that you from what you heard, you feel as though you don't like me from what you heard, move around me, like ignore me. Like, I wouldn't go out my way to discuss or have a conversation with somebody that I know from the giddy up that I'm not gonna fucking like. That seems miserable to me. There are several people on the motherfucking Clubhouse that I know it's a hard pass for me, and I respect the fuck out of that. I respect somebody who can say, "No, I'm good," straight like that. Ain't no bad intentions, ain't nothing. I'm not trying to have any, weird interaction. Like, none of that. Right? Right? So, I don't know how I got here, but I'm here. But talking about, it's a hard pass because, okay, so the person I'm talking about tonight in terms of ADOS and talking about reparations and stuff is Miss Yvette Nicole Brown, someone I actually really respect, someone I actually really like. So there's not going to be no, ain't no disrespect coming here. She seems like a highly intelligent woman. From another interview that and it was so weird. How the world works, right? But anyway, another interview I had listened to Yvette Nicole Brown, and let me pull it up because it's different from Yvette Carnell, who is actually the leader of ADOS. So Yvette Nicole Brown is an actress, singer, host, and I think she has a podcast. Like, she's a super amazing, talented woman. Other than people's, I think she said she's from East Cleveland. Ohio. Ooh, that's rough. Ooh, they rough. Ooh, that's rough. Ooh, go check out Nick Johnson. He went to East Cleveland. Ooh. Yvette made it, girl. Like, y'all, Yvette made it. Okay? Yvette made it. With that being said, let me get back into what I'm talking about. So, I came across Yvette, this post that you see on the screen, and it was Yvette Brown uses her platform and position as a celebrity to irresponsibly making vehemently false claims against the ADOS movement and President Yvette Carnell. She completely misinterpreted the ADOS position, resulting in the spreading of misinformation. So, there's this clip I'm going to play for you guys. It's actually 3 clips. Okay, so these 2 clips, and there's another clip with Hollywood Unlocked that she did an interview. And that's why I said it's like full circle kind of moment in terms of this. Because when I ran across this clip on Twitter, I remembered I had seen a clip of her on Hollywood Unlocked a couple weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Let me tell you what that clip 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was so interesting that it came across my timeline. And I think, like I said, I do think there's a push, right? And I'm not going to, I think there's a push in terms of certain videos that are starting to recirculate. I think we're going to see a lot of, celebrities and their words and how they feel in terms of reparations, or maybe how they feel about ADOS. It's going to be kicked up a notch. I think we're going to see more of this shit on our timeline in terms of like people who may disagree with the movement and whatever, because I think people, again, people, it's time to vote, right? So it's time to do that programming. It's time to, cause division amongst the Black American community, right? So for me, even, I want you guys to know, even after this, I still fuck with Yvette Nicole Brown. I do think that maybe, to sit down with Talib Kweli, and I know he's really respected in like the conscious community or conscious rap community and stuff like that. And he's probably one of these people I may have, a little side-eye view of because of, listening to his ex-wife, and listening to Jaguar, right? Yeah, she crazy, but there be some truth in that crazy. You just gotta, take what you can get out of it and not take all of it. What's that saying? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just gotta take out the good stuff. You know what I mean? And know when you hear real shit from when you hear fake shit. Real quick, I was watching the latest interview after Jaguar got out the last time. And what did she say? She said something about her grandfather and, and him being a slave. But then her grandfather was like born in like 1901. Let me tell y'all, my type of personality, like in real fucking life, like I'm someone who will play around with you, right? So she's telling this like in a very dramatic storytelling type of fashion. Like, anybody who like poets, like, you know what I mean? Spoken word people, like they have great storytelling capabilities, right? And so she's telling this story about her grandparents, born slaves. And I remember it was most definitely in the 1900s that they were born, right? And so I remember sitting there when I heard her make the mistake, because y'all know, I don't know if y'all should know, but now I'm really good with history, right? So I said to myself, oh, this is about to be a good ass story. was like an hour interview of her doing this dramatic tale about her life and all these incidents. And some of it is true. I know some of it has to be true. But just the fact that when she started off like that, I said, I got to stay to watch this. This is about to be fucking good as fuck. Like, I just knew it was about to be good, y'all. And it was good. It was dramatic. It was a whole lot of stuff that happened. I mean, you just have to, I get the munchies and I just start watching shit and just be laughing like, this shit is crazy. But I will tell you though, the bones, the shit that you're supposed to take from, Jaguar, right? And let me tell you, I don't just take her standalone word, right? Remember I told you. It be like when she spoke about Talib Kweli, it was actually followed up by me actually watching the interview from the ex-wife, right? So it's not just standalone with her, but that's when I knew like what to take and what not to take, right? It was like when she talked about Brian McKnight, and then y'all start to see all the shit come out about Brian McKnight. So some shit you just know what to take and you know what not to take. There were times like I would listen to Jaguar Wright tell stories. I was like, yo, she must teleport around like through time and space. I mean, because she has been associated, been around to see a lot. I mean, from Diddy to, it's just a lot that she claims to have seen and know for a fact. So I don't know. I get entertained by that because in real fucking life, like I sit and watch niggas tell me like they have all this money and whoop de whoop de whoop, and I will play along. I would sit in the conversation, act all interested in shit like that. Who am I to tell people that they sound crazy as fuck? Like, I'll let you even be wrong and talk to you because I just want to know how you got there, right? Like, whatever. Like, I think this is funny. Okay, let's get back into this. All right, so talking about ADOS and opposition. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. So I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago when I watched the Facebook clip, right? Yvette Nicole, she was talking about her run-in with Isaiah Washington and exchanging some words from him, right? And I remember it stood out to me because she was talking about voter disenfranchisement and things like that. And at that point, it started to ring bells in my ears that she is actually talking about the ADOS movement. I kind of had a feeling she was talking about the ADOS movement, but it was a short clip and ADOS wasn't mentioned in it. And so when I ran across this clip on my Twitter, I was like, okay, I get it. But let me tell you about just peep game and peep the propaganda. So the Hollywood Unlocked interview, in this interview here with Talib Kweli, was 3 years ago. And it's being recirculated. I'm starting to see it again on my timeline. This person who shared it on Twitter is an ADOS person. And then it was shared on Facebook and by Hollywood Unlocked, right? So I'm not going to say like there's any coincidences, but like I said, I just pay attention to how we start to see more celebrities, come out towards 2024. And I think, Yvette, the way she actually spoke about it, I mean, she has a right to speak on things. She has a right to share her opinion. She's an ADOS person. I most definitely respect her. And like I said, she's not like one of these celebrities that is just going to pop up with telling you who to vote. And they're not entrenched or they're not well researched or they're not really looking into these things. She is someone who's actively have an opinion. She's been a co-host on The View. So she's not somebody who's just like, being put up to just convince the people, right? So I will most definitely take a different approach than somebody who like a Cardi B who don't know what the fuck they're talking about that just starts speaking around the election time, right? Because somebody tells her things, right? Or any other celebrity who don't talk political 360 60 days a year, and then for the last 5 days of the year they all political. No, that we're not paying that shit no mind, and that's gonna be called out, right? Like I don't want to hear uneducated people, and not educated like you dumb, but uneducated like it's not your wheelhouse and it's not something that you research. It's not something you pay attention to all that much. In any serious manner, speaking about things that they have no business speaking about because they just don't know what they're talking about. And that's the pure definition of ignorance, right? All right, so let's get into this clip. And it's a long post in here, and then I will read that after I show you the clip. All right, y'all see that? Damn, you gotta have one of those blue checks to be able to write like this. But let me tell you something. I was in this it was the last story. I was in this clubhouse spaces one time, and everybody in the fucking spaces had the blue checks, right? And so I'm like, okay, this must be some VIPs up in here. I started looking and seeing, like, I got to recognize somebody, people, you know what I mean? They got to be somebody. Man, when I tell you, it was a room, it was more than 400 people in this room, and everybody had fucking blue checks. And nobody was famous. Like, nobody was famous. I was clicking on the profiles. Nobody was famous. I didn't recognize nobody. So, listen, y'all out here paying for this clout. Y'all out here paying for this clout. Y'all out here paying for be able to write these essays and shit on the motherfucking Twitter. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. I know Elon is not a perfect person, but I really do like that he doesn't try to censor as much as Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not going to Threads. I mean, like, if it's anything, or if he's running it anything like he runs Facebook, I don't want no parts of it. I don't want no parts of it. Like, I am really into free speech, right? Like, I'm into free speech, and I'm going to stick with, of course I have a Facebook, of course I have an Instagram, but when it comes to like new apps, I'm not hopping on board with an owner who's already like really, really, really censoring, free speech. And I know what people talk about, like when it comes to disinformation and misinformation and hatefulness in terms of free speech, and people not liking or wanting it, or feel like as if though it's like, ruining society, not everybody can take it and all this other stuff. I think, I always, get back to the thought of like, who gets to say what is wrong information and who gets to say it's too much, right? Even in Clubhouse, and you look at that dynamic, there are some people who don't like me or don't like the things that I, may say, or may feel like as if though I sometimes am mean or whatever. I'm not quite sure why they feel that way, because the way the behavior on there is so disgusting. Nobody has the right to like really kind of be critiquing, but you find those that they feel like that they can critique in that type of way. And that's where it becomes a picking and choosing, right? And so I feel that way in terms of free speech and people expressing themselves, because when it's somebody you like and they're expressing themselves and they're saying whatever they want, you look the other way, you make excuses for it, sort of like a Cardi B. And so for me, it's just like, I just don't want to give anyone that power. Like, if you can't take it, log the fuck off. Point blank, right? If you don't like somebody, don't engage with them, right? Like, and that's just the realest as adult, advice I could give. Like, you just don't engage with people you don't like, and you don't, and that's that. And that should be that's as simple as I think, that's just fucking simple. It just really is. That's just really, really, really just that simple. All right, so, and a good example of that for me was, this is real arrogant, like obnoxious, like white guy, Jewish guy on the Clubhouse. And he has a way of being really kind of condescending and talking down to people. I'm not going to say just, black people. I'm just going to say fucking people, right? Like, sometimes if he does not respect you, in your opinions, and I've seen him do this to like white men and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily feel like as if though with him it's all about race, but I just know, he takes different strategies in terms of like how he'll talk down to you if you are a black person, right? By insinuating you're not as smart. One time he posted an article and we were having a discussion about it, and I read the article so I could, keep up with what the conversation was. Oh, maybe you can't read, or all that. Like, I can read. I can read really well, and I also know like primary sources. I also know like how to interpret and analyze information and all this stuff. Like, I'm really good with that shit. So he'll talk to you like that. And there's this other black girl, and I hate being in rooms with her because I find her to be extremely too whiny. I find her to be always trying to police the chat section and shit like that. And so she would always get into it with this gentleman. And to this day, I still don't know why you would even get in any type of back and forth with an individual like that, right? Like, he will never control my experience that I'm having or get me mad on a daily, because I'm not going to allow him to have that access to me in that type of way, right? You've lost the privilege to engage with me because you're disrespectful. And I'm not even going to take time to correct you or anything like that. You just lost it. And that's a point, period, blank. So when I see someone like her, who's always whining about people and what they're saying and how it makes her feel and they're being mean in the chat, and I'm like, are we like in elementary school? Like, what is going on? Like, if you go on Clubhouse, looking in the chat is an option. Like, you don't have to. Like, you don't. Like, you can sit there and experience the conversation happening on stage without ever looking, without ever participating. So when you take your ass in there and decide to write, or you get into a back and forth with somebody for whatever the reason, that's a choice. That is a fucking choice. And when it comes to this white guy, I make the choice not to engage. Even when he's on stage, or if something happens and I feel like I want to share my opinion, I share that opinion and I go back and close that chat and I leave out of there, because you don't get access to me again because you are rude. And you know what you're doing. Right? Because I had, at the same time, that same white man, I had other white people in my inbox like, oh, be careful. He has a way of, being disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. And I had already knew it because I've seen him interact with other people. So, but I was like, cool, thank you. You know what I mean? That's all I needed. You don't get no more. No more. Right? Because some people are getting online to try to have moments, and people are getting online to take out their anger or frustration, or they're getting online because they get a kick off of just like being rude and nasty to people and getting away and being able to get away with it. All right, y'all. So let me go ahead and get into this clip. So this is Yvette Nicole Brown talking about her feelings about ADOS, and I am also going to play the Hollywood Unlocked clip. So here we go.
I don't remember how they came for me. I remember seeing the hashtag, and I understand why people get pulled in.
Yeah,
because
it's very seductive.
They almost pulled me in. Yeah, they're getting a lot of people because it looked. I don't even remember how they came for me. I remember seeing the hashtag, and I understand why people get pulled in.
Yeah, because it's very seductive.
They almost pulled me in. Yeah, they're getting a lot of people because it looks like that it's the right thing to do. It looks like
reparations.
Yeah, who can say no to reparations? But I realized that one, they're not for reparations. They're just using that as a smokescreen. And right. Second, you can't be for me if you're against other marginalized people.
Right, and you can't say that you have a black agenda if your black agenda only includes black people. That
exactly, because the bottom line is
they're missing most black people.
The bottom line is find them. How? We are all so mixed up with everything.
That whole lineage argument.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. So as soon as you find an immigrant, and I'm kicked out because I got some immigrant somewhere down in the crazy. We all do. That's the whole point. We don't know where we came from. We don't know what we're mixed with, but it doesn't even matter.
All right. So I have to stop it there. And so this is where, for me, when I talked about Talib Kweli, I know for sure that he shares more of a Pan-African type of view in terms of like that conscious community, right? So there's some vibes there. And when she's talking about it's not about reparations, it's about some other shit, I don't know what she's talking about, right? Like in terms of, you can't be for black people, but only be for specific black people. And when you talk about reparations, it's not that they're trying to use reparations as a smokescreen for hate, right? In terms of when you start talking about who reparations is for and why we're trying to be so specific and why we talk about delineation is because of why reparations who it was promised to, right? It was not promised to all of black people all of black people, right? It was promised to a specific group of people, which is the American descendants of slaves, right? And when you talk about trying to get the United States government to honor a promise, a debt, right? Something that they had already promised and something they already defaulted on, there's just no way currently we can change the there's just no way we can change the terms on like who it was promised to. So no, we can't turn around and say, hey, I know you said this was just for Americans at the time, American, descendants of slaves, but we have all these other black people and they also have to be included. It would be setting ourselves up for a losing battle, right? Because there are just some black people in general, in terms of who are here in the United States, who ancestors never experienced slavery, in terms of like, coming from Africa or any other place that they may identify as black people, and coming to America. Like, there's just that exists, right? And saying it's a smokescreen, you would have to, tell me, like, why would you think the United States government would be okay with paying reparations to other people, like from the West Indies, when they have actually countries that they can go and have or try to get some type of justice claim? The difference is that those other countries have not came forward and said they're willing to pay people back for reparations. I know, the king of England, he's talked about reparations and slavery was bad and all this other stuff, but nobody's came forward. Nobody made a promise to their slaves when they were set free to pay them. And even though in terms of Haiti, when they were set free, they actually had to pay for their freedom, right? And talking about reparations, slave owners was paid, right? So again, it's really based off a debt that's owed. So again, Talib Kweli is most definitely like that Pan-Africans type of vibe. I do know about 3 years ago when this was like recorded and stuff like that. That's around the same time that I became aware of the movement. I always knew about reparations. It wasn't most people called it 40 acres and a mule. But getting into learn about like the ADOS foundation and the ADOS group, that didn't happen for me until I got on Clubhouse and ran into, I think, the worst of the people in terms of when you talk about ADOS. I most definitely understand why some people have, may feel some type of way because some of the behavior, some of the, way they do, some people go about it is extremely ignorant. Someone like a Tariq Nasheed is extremely ignorant as fuck, right? If you ever sat in his rooms and he's going back and forth with Africans and stuff like that, that shit gets really ignorant, toxic and stuff like that. And even when I first got on Clubhouse, a lot of the interactions between the Black Americans and the Africans was really bad. There was a lot of rooms where, we were going at it with each other. And I'm not sitting up here making it seem like I weren't in the comments saying you're African booty scratcher or anything else, right? But realizing, because if you come from mine, I'm going to come for yours. Like, this just there's no way of getting around that. But also, I had to also pull back, because I'm too intelligent for my messaging to just be centered around any type of hate, right? And I most definitely, that's why I said to you guys, I respect Yvette Nicole a lot, because you can be like, oh, I'm too smart for that. Like, I can give it up in a way that I don't have to go that hateful, ignorant type of route. And so I totally get what she's saying. I can totally get being turned off by that, because what this translate in terms of like how she feels about the movement is a lot of the times how I feel. Like, I just recently did a video on my TikTok, She Bougie as a, where I talked about nigga mentality, and I talked about that, that hatefulness, that sabotage spirit, that comes across sometimes when it comes to with us dealing with each other. There's a reason why I say I'm not a part of the organization and don't want to be a part of organizations. It's because I recognize that there's something really, really wrong with how we get together and how we try to handle business. And it's always a lot of fuck shit, right? Either niggas talking about fucking or who they want to fuck or what they attracted to. Always some type of drama. Always somebody wanting to be the HBIC or the head nigga in charge. Like, it'd be a whole bunch of like weird shit, right? A whole bunch of shit that has nothing to do with getting the job, and just a whole bunch of dumb shit. I'm talking about personal life, seeing how they acted online. Yeah, when I did see how they were acting online in ADOS and they treated it like a gang, right? I literally fell out with a lot of them because I moved around on the app and was going into different rooms. Like, literally, I remember as clear as day, there was this weirdo chick from them people's Philly. And I was So I got into the app. The first rooms or groups I gravitated towards was the ADOS because I can, get with that. You go into their rooms. First things they do, they start talking about who your people, where they from, right? Okay, cool. You answer their questions and stuff like that. Then it starts to be like this weird trying to fill you out, making sure you're not like a part of COINTELPRO 2.0, right? And so that's cool. I am who I am, right? So, I'm listening, there's only so much I can listen to, fuck them, that hate them, and all this other shit. And there was a lot of that going on with certain people. It wasn't everybody. It was certain people. So that's when I say I can understand what she's talking about. So once it got to the point where it wasn't just about us, like, arguing or it wasn't about us like standing up for ourselves, but it was more or less like people was like getting on and getting off on this, like, and this their everyday mission, right? Like ADOS and reparations can be your messaging. You can stand on that, and I think I do that really well. If you ask me or want to have a conversation with me, I'm going to stand, I'm going to represent, right? But I don't think you have to do that to the point where you're just really dismissive of people and really ignorant, with people in every space you go to, right? And so I was seeing that was the case with some people. So whatever. I was like, I don't really like this vibe. This is not what but on top of like not really kind of liking the vibe because it was like too hateful, they were just way too just gutter. They were just gutter snipes. I'm just going to be completely honest. Like they were gutter snipes. There was this room one time we would do like socials, and this is before like socials really became a thing, before the recordings. And one room that they had scheduled, we were going to do this sleepover. We were going to like have our drinks, and we were going to talk shit and have fun. And so this is the one time I ever remember, drinking and being on Clubhouse. And so this was something that we all, have us getting together to do. It wasn't like the no real serious stage where there was a topic and we were talking, and having discourse about anything intellectual. Like it was none of that. It was just like us sitting in the room and we were going to talk shit, have fun. Long story short, I started to move around in different rooms, and I never stayed anywhere very long, right? I never tried to be down. I'm a grown-ass woman, right? I never tried to be in anybody's clique. I never tried to be anybody's gang. Like, that just was not my intentions or, like, what I wanted to use Clubhouse for, right? After seeing certain behaviors, right? So I tried to keep it light and breezy, go to different rooms and stuff like that. So one day, I go back into, the ADOS space because I'm thinking everything should be cool. It's not like I'm, talking about anybody, from the spaces. It's not like, have any real issues with anybody, right? And so next thing you know, I'm being told, oh, people in other spaces and, they don't sound the same like they do when they in spaces with us and people like kind of basically trying to insinuate like somebody's like a traitor, right? And for me, it's like, well, when I sit around you guys, we just sitting around talking shit and, kikiing. And that's going to sound like a totally different conversation than when I'm sitting in other rooms and there's a title and there's something to speak to and stuff like that. That doesn't sound the same, right? And I don't care what anybody says in terms of like you get the same person all the time. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. Like that's literally a lie. You're not going to sit up and tell me you and your friends are around drinks and shit and talking shit is the same person when there's like something of substance to be talked about and you're serious and you're focused. Like that's just not true. It's just not real, right? So I started to get a lot of pushback from that. On top of that, at the time, I think I had feminism. I had my other socials linked to it, so they knew that I was a feminist. And so people have their own preconceived notions about like what feminism means in terms of, I guess, that there's so many people within the black community that will try to blame feminism for the reason why, like, the family, the nuclear family is at risk, or why we have the lowest, marriage rates now. And they blame it a lot on feminism, which is really strange and really weird. But again, if you're from this community, you understand a lot of scapegoating, right? In terms of like needing to find somebody outside of ourselves and our actions and the things that we believe and the things that we promote. We need to always push that off on somebody, right? And there are times where those things and those things we push things off is a fact in terms of like, what has caused our experience here. Like some of that is a fact, but a lot of it could be some of the things that we can control, we can we can fix ourselves, and we don't even want to own some of that, right? So I can't get with that type of conversation, right? And so with that being said, most definitely, I'm most definitely going to stand out in that type of way, because I'm not going to join in. And you can't get me to just go along to get along, just so I can be down with, with the ADOS, gang on the club. So like I said, I totally get where she's coming from. That's why tonight, y'all, when I reached out to Yvette Nicole, when I reached out to Yvette Nicole, it was like, hey, I know this video was like from 3 years ago. Are you interested in having a conversation with Yvette Carnell? Because to see if there could be some like middle ground met in terms of like seeing how since 3 years ago, since even I've been on Clubhouse, I think the messaging has been refined. I don't think it's as hateful as it used to be. Yes, there is a lot of people on the club, on Twitter who do, they say... But I can't even call the Americans out, because the Africans are, posting and saying ignorant as shit too, right? So I think it comes from both sides. But in terms of the messaging from ADOS in general, I don't see the hatefulness that she's talking about currently in 2023, right? And I would like to think that Yvette Nicole is, just reconsidering what ADOS is talking about. But let me go ahead and let her finish speaking, because there's more clips.
If you are a marginalized person, we should be fighting together.
That's right.
I don't understand. And then the whole point of it, like I've been trying to tell people, it is not about uplifting black people. Mm-hmm. It is really about keeping black people from voting. It is literally MAGA with a black face. Right. It's black voter disenfranchisement. They are building division between us first, and then they're telling us, well, what's the point of even voting? There's no point. Yeah. And if you're going to vote, then you might as well vote for Trump, because he's the same as any Democrat, and we know that's not true. Right. Yeah. Or if you go and vote, don't vote for president. Why is it so important for us not to vote for president? Right. They're telling people now to vote down the ballot, but don't vote president.
That's right.
You got to see what it is.
That's very clear to me.
It's very clear.
Yeah, that's a clear agenda.
And we don't have to separate ourselves from other people of color to fight the good fight for black people. And I'm down for my people. Anybody that know me know I love me some black folks.
That's right.
So it's not even about
black
that.
American woman born in Ohio.
So black.
The middle
I am the blackest of the black. I don't even remember how they came for me. I remember seeing the hashtag.
And this is the reason why I think it needs to, the conversation needs to be revisited, because we are 3 years later and we have got to see what, the Biden administration has gotten it, has been able to do so far. So I wonder if she feels as if though it's paid off, right? Like, has it paid off? And, these are the questions that I felt like needed an answer in 2023 going into 2024, right? Where she says, we were sounding like MAGA and all this other stuff. And, I think, my video that I'm posting currently, that where I, provided commentary where I reviewed Karen Hunter's interview with Cornel West and talked about, are we better off, right? Like, because for me, I'll say it again, if it's not us having some type of class reckoning in this country in terms of the poor and the rich, and and nowhere being the gap between the poor and the rich getting further and further, and they're not really kind of being a middle class, right? If that's still going to continue, Biden hasn't helped us at all. Right? Like, so what tangibles or what have we gotten out of these last 3 years, Yvette Nicole, is what I would want to know, right? Do you feel like, he's did enough, right? I'm not going to say nothing has been done, but do you feel like he's done enough? And do you feel like going into 2024 election that we're being spoken to, or there's been an agenda that is, as if though they're trying to woo us for our vote, right? Or do something that would make us want to vote for them. And so none of that is happening, right? And so you want to talk about voter disenfranchisement and, MAGA and all this other stuff. Where is it getting better for us? And it doesn't get better for us until the other population of white people decide, hey, fuck that shit, okay? Fuck that racism shit. we're all fucked up out here. Right? And so I don't know when that's going to happen. That's why for me, I really liked what Ron Perlman said to that, Hollywood executive, in terms of watch it, motherfucker. Because we need that type of energy from the other white poor people in this country to wake up and look beyond racism and realize that we're all in the same fucking boat in a lot of ways. Right? We need people in Ohio where you're from. And I know you from them people's East Cleveland, but you can go further down towards West Virginia. You can go further out and see that Ohio is really kind of fucked up too in terms of, a lot of the community suffering, right? It's out there. So we need those white people to also see past the racism and realize that these people are not for us. Right? So I hear you, Yvette. I hear you. So let's see what else is out there. Let me see the second clip.
Now, when you mentioned progressive, it's like people, they use reparations and you. Now, when you mentioned progressive, it's like people, they use reparations and use progressiveness as a bait and switch.
Right.
When you get into their platform, when you go on their website, which they'll tell you go on the website, it says we want to make sure that black immigrants don't get the same civil rights protections as native-born black Americans, right?
If you're black, you deal with it.
The woman, Yvette Carnell, who started this organization, she's a board member of PFIR, which is Progressives for Immigration Reform. Yep. Now, if you know anything about immigration reform, you know ain't no progressives out there fighting for it.
That's right.
Right? The idea that our immigration policies are so flawed that we need to immediately reform them right now is not something that progressives are fighting for, right? So this is a white nationalist organization, alt-right organization, right? And so you earlier today put out a tweet saying that you think that Fox News is going to support them. Where did you get that from?
I can't say where I got it from.
Okay.
But
it's the secret information.
So many secrets today. It's somebody in the know.
Okay.
And just pay attention to who they start promoting. Mm-hmm. And you got to ask yourself, any black person that claims to be for black people that is going on Fox News, come on.
Now, are you over any programs to where...
All right, so I just want to point out, so Fox News has not come out and supported. I think she's probably referring to the fact that Ann Coulter supports reparations. And so there's also a clip that I can show you in terms of Ann Coulter. But let me go ahead and read this in terms of... All right, so this is what this person said. So I guess there was some type of, let me see. Join Yvette Nicole Brown in the King Center for Be Love Day this Friday. Log on to thekingcenter.org and join the Be Love movement and hashtag take the pledge. All right, this is the beautiful Yvette Nicole.
The King Center's Be Love campaign is more than a day, it's a lifestyle. So join us on July 14th as we explore the power of learning to be loved. See you there. Hey guys, Yvette Nicole Brown here. The King Center's Be Love campaign is more than a day, it's a lifestyle. So join us on July 14th.
Okay, so this person, Mr. Introspective 222, most definitely an ADOS person. When you see that flag on Twitter, that's what most definitely black person, that's what that represents. So he writes here, Yvette Nicole Brown used her platform in politics as a celebrity irresponsibly by making vehemently false claims against the ADOS movement and President Yvette Carnell. She completely misinterpreted the ADOS position, resulting in the spreading of misinformation and disinformation in a defamatory manner, failing to do her due diligence. I will say that's correct. Till this day, no acknowledgement or apology has been issued on her behalf to ADOS, even after mainstream media refuted her false claims of ADOS being tied to right-wing funding. Farrah Stockman at New York Times. So I guess that's the person who has reported and said that there's no ties to right-wing funding. As of most recently, the Supreme Court has validated ADOS lineages-based argument and references to specific redress of harm to descendants of slavery. ADOSfoundation.org, I guess that's something which is not a xenophobic argument, as Ms. Brown so sloppily claimed. And they're absolutely right. And yeah, she did, if you guys... she was talking about, and Talib was talking about, what are they talking about, this lineage, and that's when I tell y'all, when I went on first got on Clubhouse, right, and for me, I didn't have to get clear, I didn't have to need the understanding, I didn't need the master teaching, I knew what it was from the very beginning, right? So when they started calling me xenophobic, these pricks on Clubhouse, right, a goat and a lawyer, right, his lawyer. They started calling me xenophobic. I may not have all your fancy degrees, but you know what I do fucking have is a dictionary, and I know me and xenophobic don't go together, right? You don't get to just label me something because you don't want to understand a perspective, or we have a disagreement, right? I think that we're so at that place in society where people just want to label people something because you disagree with them, and so it's not xenophobic, and that's why it's really important. And that's why I said maybe a conversation should be had in 2023, Miss Yvette, because you talked about the lineage, and you pointed that out, and Clarence Thomas wrote about it, and if you knew why we were saying lineage in terms of asking for reparations, then you would understand the Constitution, and you would understand that we were never going to be able to get a reparations based on race, in terms of black people, right? And so with that being said, if you look at past reparations that have been paid out, it's always been around lineage, girl. It's always been around lineage, Yvette. Like, that's a fact, right? Either Japanese, the Indians, or even if you look at the reparations that, or, you know, the reparations that the Jewish people have, it's around lineage. Like, what else can we say? And that's why I really feel as if, though, you know, I can feel how I want. But I really feel like you guys were way off in that, what you guys were talking about. I don't know, here we go. Her claims that we are not for reparations, that was weird, that we are against other groups of marginalized people and xenophobic rather than self-interest in our advocacy, and that we support and promote voter suppression are some of the claims that were also made in the at Kennedy School published report that has been since retracted within 184 days of its release. So, not quite sure where she getting this voter suppression. I'm not quite sure why she feels like there's something wrong for Black Americans wanting to advocate for Black Americans when we actually are looking at the data and we're looking at what's going on within our community, right? And when I do talk about people in the third and fourth grade, graduating in third and fourth grade reading levels coming out of Memphis and 75 and Chicago, and 75% of
progressiveness as a bait and switch, right? When you get into their platform, when you go on their website,
being able to read, that speaks to a specific community. There's a reason why I cite that. It speaks to Black Americans and what's going on with us in our education, right? It just does. And so even when you talk about like the affirmative action, and when, I had to explain this to a reporter the other day, I was talking to her and I was telling her about the ADOS advocacy and stuff like that in Boston. And she's a writer for, I think it's just like the Bay State Banner. I'm not quite sure. But I was telling her, I was like, even when we talk about affirmative action, it's not that we have a problem with, it's not that we have a problem with people maybe benefiting from affirmative action, but it's also an acknowledgement or us wanting to say, hey, those it was intended for, right, aren't the ones, applying to these elite schools, right? Like, we're really being left behind, and we got tests and, literacy rates that says that that's not us who's applying to that. Don't forget about us. Don't forget about us. Hey, us back here, we need you to put more money in the schools, right? So, it's about actually knowing that, that was not something that was actually serving our community. And yes, there are a few people who've came out, not a few, but of course there are several people who've came out of affirmative action in terms of being Black American that it most definitely helped, but it wasn't helping a lot of people if we're never in the conversation, if we're never at the table, if we don't even have the scores and the stuff to apply to the schools, we're never in the running, right? So that's why the conversation, it's not a hateful thing, but it's like, hey, we got to be honest, call a thing, you know what I mean, in terms of like what is going on with us. All right, so wait, where did I leave off? A report that Ms. Brown retweeted. After an internal and external peer review, Harvard found that the report and its authors failed to meet professional standards of validity and reliability, and that the quantitative analysis was insufficiently connected to the conclusion. Okay, things didn't connect the way it was supposed to connect. Okay, Yvette Nicole Brown should not be given a platform at the King Center to advocate for our group when she has abused her position by blatantly damaging a legitimate grassroots reparations organization such as the ADOS org, made up of descendants of slaves fighting for American descendants of slavery. I mean, there's a lot here. Okay, so let me see what's underneath here. What does this say? Okay, retracted disinformation. Oh, slavery reparation advocacy group files defamation lawsuit against Harvard. Okay, and they had to retract it. It says we won. And so she's not even acknowledging these facts. That's kind of, that's kind of sad, Yvette Nicole. So I mean, the same information you use to come to your conclusions has been, been proven to be incorrect. And so you would like to think that people would do the right thing. She said, like I said, y'all gonna learn to listen to us. Black women be knowing ADOS is MAGA. Girl, please. No, it's not. It's not MAGA at all, but okay. All right, so let's look at this.
Which they'll tell you, go on the website.
Let's look at this one. Ferris Stockman, number 10. This had led a lot of people to conclude that the group is a puppet of the right. Citizens investigators have tried to prove that ADOS is funded by conservatives. So far, I haven't uncovered or seen any proof of this. No one I spoke with who said they had proof really did. Number 10, although Carnell served on the board of Progressive for Immigration Reform, an anti-immigration group, the IRS paperwork lists her salary as zero. The executive director told me she never received a dime other than reimbursement for expenses for attending meetings. 11, as much as I love a good conspiracy, I also know black women are fully capable of making up their minds without funding from white men. Unless I see evidence, I accept Yvette Carnell as a true believer in what she is saying. So I'm not quite sure what Yvette Nicole is standing on in terms of 3 years later, Biden still isn't producing, and
it says we want to make sure.
I'm just confused on what she's standing on.
That black immigrants don't get the same civil rights protections as. All
right, so I'm going to play one more interview, and this is, like I told you, it's something I had seen 2 weeks ago to kind of give you an idea of like her thoughts and opinions and the run-in that she had with Isaiah Washington.
I didn't call him a coon.
Now you called you a coon.
He called himself a coon.
He self-identified.
I have nothing to do with that. I didn't call him a coon.
Now you used your platform Twitter one time to go after Isaiah Washington.
Did I go after him, or did I take up for myself when he came for me? Which one?
Break it down. What came? Do you feel like you defended yourself?
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I do think I defended myself. Mm-hmm. I do. I think I did. Now this is the thing. I'm from East Cleveland, and I got, my mouth got hands. So I mean, I tell people all the time, take it. But I tell everybody, don't come for me. I don't come for anybody. I'm really a lovely person, but if you bring the heat, we gon' what's gonna happen.
But okay, so break it down for the people that don't know what we're talking about. So he got a job, or he landed a show on Fox.
Yes.
And then you commented about it. Basically, you said you saw it coming.
Yeah, basically said, and this is what we can talk about it lightly, but I don't take black voter disenfranchisement lightly at all. I feel that the only way we are going to steer this ship and change what's happening is if we all show up and vote. Mm-hmm. And so there's a faction of black people, and it's in quotes, who are pushing this don't vote or vote for Trump, or all Democrats are the same, all of this mess. Mm-hmm. And nowhere in that, even if you hate who's in office, nowhere in that do they say, why don't you run for something? Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't like what's happening in the world, find something. Why don't you be the change? If they were coming from that space, I'd be like, okay, a little bit. But when it comes from, these people are not for us, so let's take our ball and go home. And I know that there's...
I will say also, Yvette, this did not age well, because actually more black people did start, running for seats and stuff like that. We did see an uptake in that. I most definitely can tell you from being in ADOS spaces, they're always talking about trying to find candidates locally to run for things. So again, I am not quite sure where she's gotten her information from since it's already been dispelled. And like I said, I know there was a lot of heated debates and a lot of hatefulness and a lot of words that were exchanged on Twitter at the time between ADOS and another immigrant community. So I don't know.
Some people that won't do the research and will just take their ball and go home, and then we'll be stuck with the same mess we have for even longer. It frustrates me, and he falls into that. So I was speaking to the black voter disenfranchisement. I have nothing against the dude as an actor. Actually, and even in the middle of the back and forth, I said he's an amazing actor, and I wish that he would stop doing this mess. Like stop hurting us, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where it came from. But then when he thought he was funnier than me or wittier than me, he found out quickly that he's not.
No,
So he can do that all day.
Then he clapped back.
Yeah, weak though. His clapbacks were so weak. I really felt bad for him. I did.
Were you ready for it? Were you like, let's go?
I'm always ready. I'm built for rebuttal, brother. I'm always ready.
And where does that
That's a
come
shirt
from?
right there. I'm built for rebuttal.
You know who told me that? It's actually, I do want to make shirts, but I got to give credit to Tank. We were doing New Edition movie, and we got into this big back and forth. We used to always have back and forth conversations about who's better, Joe Desi or Boyz II Men or whatever. And so I was caping for Boyz II Men because I'm East Coast family, and that's my crew. And so we went back and forth. By the time we were done, the entire crew, everybody was like 200 people, while me and Tank are going back and forth. And he thought that I would give up at some point. He's like, "You are built for rebuttal." I'm like, "There it is. There's the motto."
Print that shirt.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a great shirt.
So you called him a coon,
I didn't call him a coon.
or he called you a coon?
He called himself a coon.
He self-identified.
He self-identified. I have nothing to do with that. I didn't call him a coon.
So where?
I think he was sensitive.
Where are you guys now? Everything's cool.
I don't know Isaiah. I didn't know him then. I don't know him now. I have no desire to have any conversation. He said something like he tried to DM me, or I don't want to talk to that dude. I stay on the light side of the road, but if something needs to be said for my people, I'm going to say it for my people. It was never personal against him. It was just, can you please stop trying to keep my people from doing what people have died to be able to do, and that's vote. So I'm gonna always stand up for that.
Will you sing a song with me?
All right, so that's her interview with Jason Lee and Hollywood Unlocked. So, my perspective is still the same. Of course, I'm supporting ADOS. I do think that maybe
Native-born Black Americans, right?
If you're black, you
Now,
definitely
the woman,
I think
Yvette Carnell, started.
Carnell and Yvette Nicole are two amazingly intelligent women. I think this could be hashed out over
This
a
organization.
conversation. But
She's
I
a
also
board
think
member
that,
of PFIR,
I do think it will have
which is Progressives for Immigration Reform.
Yep.
Now, if you know anything about immigration reform, you know ain't no progressives out there fighting for it, right?
Yvette Nicole really willing to reconsider some of the things that she said, especially with the facts not supporting what she said, with them having to retract a lot of the things that she was saying. Like, it's just not true. She and that stalker needs to be sued for slander. Oh, see, look at my people. My people, they on it. They talking about Talib Kweli, because like I said, Jaguar Wright told us about how he a stalker. He got a little crazy on him with him. You know what I mean? Some of these brothers be sitting here talking all cool, calm, and collective community consciousness, and they be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and allegedly. I mean, that's what all this shit's allegedly, y'all. But that's what Jaguar Wright and that's what the ex-wife was saying. I agree that she should be held accountable for slandering the people in that reparations grassroots movement. Those who don't have the courage to speak to power should be quiet and not hinder the progress of those who are actively working for reparations. Ashe, ashe, ashe. And that's literally how I feel. Like, people always talk about or want to talk about the Fannie Lou Hamers or talk about the Harriet Tubmans and or want to talk about these great powerful people from our past, but at the same time we give them a hard time when they step out to be these people. We give them a hard time. We try to make them, we try to, call them rebel rousers. We try to demonize them, make them look difficult, or that they're, causing trouble, and you know what I mean? Like, and don't shit change without causing some trouble. She was especially mean-spirited and blatantly disrespectful to a whole group of people. Okay. Yvette Nicole Brown has been poisoned for a long time, woefully misinformed, and gleefully under research. She joined other Hollywood talking heads, sadly female, to inadvertently destroy the Me Too endeavor because she refused to acknowledge who the culprits were or are. She's vicious, be aware. Ooh, damn. So when she said I stay on the, y'all saying when she says I stay on the light side, she mean the white side or right side? Is that what she means? She light and right go. Okay, y'all a mess. I learned so much from y'all in these comments. For the record, our Black agenda covers all Black people in America. ADOSFoundation.org/Black agenda. Considering that Miss Brown has had so much trouble comprehending the concept of ADOS, I included a clip of our co-founder and president, Yvette Carnell, breaking it down in simple terms. Let's see here. What is the Black agenda? Okay, this is on the ADOS advocacy.org. It's hard to kind of read this for me from this picture. The American Descendants of Slavery Foundation believes in building fairer and more equitable America. Our efforts reflect a concern for and a commitment to advocating for policies that will eliminate the divides faced by all Black Americans. For ADOS, the specific call is for, I can't read this because it's really hard. Because like I said, it's a picture, so it's kind of blurry. Oh, there we go. I was able to do it. Okay, that's better. For ADOS, the specific call is for, I think that means a national or National Program for Slavery Reparations, as discussed here, for all Black Americans would look to our robust agenda. The agenda is data-driven and reflects opportunities to improve the long-standing, I don't know what that says, dismal outcomes, most noticeably, I'm guessing by that dismal, that's probably the word, manifested in the lineage-based racial wealth gap. We call on the Biden-Harris administration specifically and all elected officials in general to review our agenda and work with the ADOS Advocacy Foundation to secure the promise of America for all her citizens. Learn more about the Black agenda, and there's some links here for agriculture, Black business, cannabis, climate change, education, and criminal justice. So, I mean, there's an agenda out there. You guys should pull it up, take a look at it. You know what I mean? And get familiar with it. You know what I mean? And that's just that. All right, so let me see. Let me get back to these comments because I be liking the comments. I consider this tweet thread to be all the evidence at the King Center needs to understand who you all are potentially teaming up with in Yvette Nicole Brown. It is in today's time equivalent to the type of attacks Dr. King faced at the hands of the FBI when shifting the movement. Oh, damn. Y'all saying she's COINTELPRO. Oh, damn, Yvette. You out here looking crazy, girl. Let me see. Wait. When shifting the movement towards economic redress and reparations for descendants of slaves, Yvette Nicole Brown participated in a coordinated, slanderous, and uninformed attack to take down ADOS and failed. Okay? She needs to account for her actions. Y'all better stop trying to hold strangers accountable, okay? Like, it is what it is. Like, I gave her, I tweeted her. She responded, and I'm like, okay, she said I said what I said. That's basically what she said. I said what I said is how she feels about it 3 years later. So she's replying at Talib Kweli and I are fighting against them right now. We are using our platforms to spread the word. If you see their alt-right messaging, I think that's supposed to be one word. I think it's missing the A. Traction. Oh, okay. You see their alt-right mess gaining traction with folks who haven't done their research. Just let them know. Well, it's so funny you talking about folks who ain't did the research, and they're saying you the folks who ain't did the research. This person wrote to her the same misinformation since 2016. These people should be sent a cease and desist. Yeah, girl ain't letting up. She feel how she feel, and that's just what it is. And we just gotta just she's been corrected. I guess she just want to stay in her. She just want to believe what she want to believe, y'all. And you just gotta let people believe. Y'all can't be. I see this on Clubhouse. Hold people accountable and all this other weirdo shit. No, you can't do none of that. You just gotta let people. I gotta follow him. You gotta let people beat them, and you let them be wrong, and just point it out. Like, I'm gonna do this video and point out the fact that she didn't know what she was talking about, and it's gonna be there for people to come to their own conclusion. I still fuck with her. You know what I mean? She seems like a really smart woman to me. But there's sometimes you can talk about some things and not know what you're talking about, and that's just that. I wanted to bring that to y'all because, again, like I said, as we move into 2024, there's gonna be more Yvette Nicole Brown. That's going to come forward and be talking about shit they know nothing about. And we got to be, we got to be vigilant, and we got to stay on it, and we got to talk about it so we can straighten it out. You know what I mean? Be that straightener for folks who don't know what they're talking about. And that's all I'm going to say. Y'all ain't going to get me to say too much about Miss Yvette Nicole Brown, because I actually like her. She seems like she has a great personality and stuff like that. That's all I'm going to say. No, I do like her. I mean, yeah, I'm going to leave it there, y'all. All right, y'all know how we do here. We keep it posh SF. We keep it black SF. We keep it bougie SF. We keep being blessed, y'all. All right? Kiss, 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 kiss. And don't you forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I am out. Bye.